Hare Krishna, welcome you all to Gita Diploma course. This is Madhusudan Vishnu Das, and I heartily welcome you, congratulate you, and express my gratitude towards you for joining in this last session of our course. Wow, it has been such a nice journey. For 1.5 months, we have been together. And today we have reached the climax, the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the longest chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the conclusive chapter of Bhagavad Gita, with lots of lessons and lots of concepts to understand. Will not delay further because we have less time to cover so much more today. Let's quickly jump into starting with the prayers and then going to the chapter slides. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyana Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So before we start chapter 18, like we always do, let's do a quick review or summary of what we discussed in chapter 17. In chapter 17, Lord Krishna was questioned by Arjuna about different kinds of faith. And then Lord said faith is in three modes: faith in mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. On the basis of that subject, then he further explained different other phenomena or concepts in terms of three modes. So he explained food in three modes. He explained austerity of different types, charity in three modes, sacrifice in three modes. And finally, he said that any activity performed in any mode, whether goodness, passion, or ignorance, it can be purified by accompanying that activity with the chanting of the holy names of Krishna or by chanting Om Tat Sat. Now you see, by understanding all this from Lord Krishna, Arjuna has understood something very important, that anything you do in life, it is controlled by three modes of material nature, which means if you are in confusion and in that confused state you take a decision, even that is in the control of three modes of material nature. So Arjuna is now reflecting back. He's thinking about himself, his own condition, just a few minutes, or you can say like half an hour or 40 minutes before, when he was presenting his arguments why he thought he should not fight. We are talking about chapter 1. Arjuna was giving so many reasons that he doesn't want to fight, he wants to quit, he wants to renounce, he wants to leave all his responsibilities, go to the forest and live the life in seclusion. He was basically thinking about tyaga or renunciation. So here he gets a click in the mind that, wait a second, what if my renunciation or the tyag which I was thinking of doing, that was in tamoguna? Or was it in rajaguna? Or was it in sattvaguna? If it was in tamoguna, how could something renounced in tamoguna lead to spiritual development? It's not possible. So, the concept which Krishna is explaining, if people really think about it in their own personal life, the concepts are very, very thought-provoking, sometimes mind-boggling also. Arjuna understood that it's not that easy to be a true spiritualist or a true follower of religion, because we may think we are doing the right thing, but that might be influenced by the three modes of material nature. Just like charity, sacrifice, austerity can be controlled by the three modes, so why not other activities that we do in the name of spirituality or religious practices? So here, therefore, Arjuna puts forth a question to Krishna. He wants to know what exactly uh, is renunciation or tyag. This chapter of Bhagavad Gita is titled as Surrender because we understand finally that only by surrender we can come out of all the problems of life. Because if we have a certain problem and we are trying to solve it with a particular solution, that solution will lead to another problem. Yes, that's quite true. So the only way to come out of problems once and for all is that you surrender. Just like, let's say you are trying to enter into the house of your friend and there's a watchdog, and the watchdog sees you and starts barking at you. So at that time, when you call your friend for help, immediately the friend would say, "Hey, come on, don't bark, don't disturb this person." And then the dog simply is wagging its tail and not disturbing you at all, At that time, what has happened is because you took help of your friend, in other words, you surrendered to your friend, the dog stopped creating problems for you. Likewise, when we surrender to God, things become very, very easy for us. Everyone or everything starts cooperating with us. So this chapter will talk a lot about many different subjects. Finally, let me tell you something. This chapter is a summary of whatever has been discussed in Bhagavad Gita. So in this chapter 18, Krishna will summarize Karma Yoga, Krishna will summarize Jnana Yoga, and Krishna will finally summarize Bhakti Yoga. We have a quick lesson to learn. Purpose of punishment is not to break someone, but to reconnect his or her mindset to the true reality. When a person realizes the wrongdoing and is sorry for it, then there remains no need for further punishment. That's what we have been trying to understand from Bhagavad Gita, that okay, there are rules, and if you break the rules, you are punished. However, if someone has broken the rules and one realizes, voluntarily accepts, "I'm sorry, I did a mistake," then there's no punishment. It is also expected you don't do it again, but then there's no punishment. So here it begins with Arjuna's question, as I mentioned. Sannyasasya mahabaho tattvam ichchami veditum tyagasya cha rishikesha pithakeshi nishudana. O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa. O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses. What is the purpose of sannyas? Why should someone take sannyas? Because generally it's considered very glorious, that you can give up wealth, give up family, give up mundane attractions, leave the world and go to the cave and live all alone. So, like about that book, A Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. So when you do something like that, people are impressed. Oh, wow, this person is so renounced, so detached. So Arjuna was thinking, it's quite glorious to give up battle, give up kingdom, give up the happiness that you're going to get from royal, luxurious life. But now his way of understanding has changed. And he's thinking, well, was that tyaga which I was thinking of doing good for my soul, or was it unhealthy for my soul? Was it really spiritual, or was it not really spiritual? So, because he asked Lord Krishna about Tyag and Sannyas, Lord Krishna says, Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam. He says, there are two kinds of activities that every human being is supposed to engage in, or they generally engage in. One is called Nitya Karma, and the other is called Kamya Karma. Nitya Karma means daily, obligatory activities prescribed by the scriptures. Kamya Karma, activities for fulfilling particular personal material desires. To give an example, Nitya Karma means you get up early in the morning, you take bath, you go to the temple, worship Bhagavan. That is something which you have to do daily. Kamya Karma, uh, once in a while, I mean, once in life, not once in a while, once in life, you get married and then you had some kids. So these are activities which, if you desire, you can. Otherwise, you're not really forced or obliged to do. So he says, sannyasa means that you don't give up nitya karma, but you give up kamya karma. And tyaga means that you don't give up either of them, but you give up the fruits or the results of them. Tyajam doshavat iti eke. And then he says some learned people define differently. So they say give up all the fruitive activities as faulty because they sometimes involve violence. And few others says no, 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 sacrifice, austerity, and charity should never be given up. Here Lord Krishna is not giving his verdict, he is just expressing the opinion of different kinds of people. So Arjuna says, what do you say, Lord Krishna, my dear friend? So Krishna says, here, my opinion, Arjuna, there are three types of tyaga, just like before we studied, right? Three types of this, three types of that. So there is three types of tyaga. And one should never give up the acts of charity, austerity, and sacrifice. Sorry, the question is typed wrongly. So he says, why one should not give up, you know, charity, sacrifice, and austerity. So Lord Krishna says, because these activities, religious activities, they purify even the great souls. Even the great souls are purified by these activities. A very important concept to understand, that no one should ever in life give up these three activities. And I'll explain with an example why. Like, let me ask you the first question for today, for all of you. If the house has to be kept always clean, spick and span, what has to be done? Keeping a house clean, or keeping the place where you're living clean, is also a science. So how do you do that? How do you keep your house always clean? What steps you need to take to be able to do that? Two things you need to do, you know. If you do those two things, house always remains clean. Sweep or mop. Yes, that is one. Broom and mop and dust. That's one thing. What else? Continuous efforts. Uh-huh. By cleaning regularly, sweep regularly, dust it every day, clean up. All right. So two steps, two simple steps to keep things in its place and clean up, keeping things organized, dusting, labor and commitment, clean and maintain. Okay, the two basic steps and simple steps are: first, um, you have to make sure that dust does not come inside. So you have to stop making it more dirty. First of all, don't make it dirty. Don't let the dust come in. And however hard you may try, still some dust will come in, some dirt will be spilled here and there. So then you clean it every day. So two things: you don't let the dirt come inside, and whatever has come inside, you clean it every day. That's the way to keep everything always clean. Now that's about our house, place where we are living, or our work area. What about our heart? What about our mind? Even mind gets dirty, sometimes very, very dirty. So how do you keep the mind clean? Again, two steps. You don't let the dirt come inside, and if it has come inside, then you put efforts to clean it and throw it out or throw it away. That's how you keep the mind always clean. So the way to do not let the dirt come inside is you don't take the wrong kind of impressions on you from the surroundings in which you are. And the next step, which is to always keep it clean, that is done through what? That is done through these three acts of sacrifice, charity, and austerity. Lesson to be learned. If any place is to be kept clean, then it should be protected from getting dirty and should be cleaned regularly. Spiritual activity helps in removing the old dust from our mind and not allowing new dust to enter into it. Therefore, we should every day, yes, we should every day engage in spiritual activities like chanting God's names, reading scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, visiting temples, so on and forth. Every day we must do it. So now the Lord begins to explain sacrifice or tyaga in three modes: in goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now, in goodness, someone may give up things. In passion, also someone may give up. In ignorance, also someone may give up. Giving up in goodness means what? One does not give up the work, the activity, the responsibility or duty, but one gives up the attachment to the results of such work. One gives up that attachment. One does the work but without attachment. So one is not hateful to something which is uncomfortable to the body, and someone is not attached to work which is like very, very comfortable or pleasurable for the body. In passion, in ignorance, the problem is when people give up, they give up their duty, they give up their responsibility, they give up what they're supposed to do. So now Arjuna is understanding that when he was thinking of giving up his duty to fight, that was renunciation in mode of ignorance, not renunciation in mode of goodness, or renunciation mode of passion. So in passion, why do people give up things? because it's troublesome. Oh, it's so hard. I'll lose my sense gratification. And there's fear of bodily discomfort. But in ignorance, why does someone give up? Due to illusion, due to madness, foolishness, or lack of knowledge, lack of awareness. And and in goodness, one gives up as a matter of duty, and one gives up the doership mentality. So these tables which we are showing to you, of course, it needs some deliberation and contemplation to understand them. So you can go through them later also. The recordings will always be available, so you can always go through them. So Arjuna says, so one should renounce in goodness, and Krishna says, yes, don't be anytime hateful of work that is troublesome to the body or mind, and don't be attached to work which gives you material pleasure or benefit. So now what do we understand from here? What is renunciation? What is tyaga? What exactly is the real definition of tyag or renunciation? From whatever discussion we had so far and whatever has been explained by Lord Krishna, what is tyag or renunciation? Charity, being neutral to fruits, give up attachment and work dutifully, doing the prescribed work, renounce the results of actions, giving up attachment to results. Yes, so that's renunciation. Renunciation of the fruit of action, not of action. You don't give up the work, you don't give up the duty, but you give up the fruits that you obtain by performing those duties. And what about one who does not learn to do such kind of tyaga? Then Lord Krishna says, remains in the repeated cycle of birth and death forever, perpetually, you know, very difficult to come out of it, and can go through three these different destinations, you know, if one lives one's life in that manner. One kind of result one may get is mishram is mixture of results, mixture of happiness and suffering. So that happens in human form of life. Human life is a mixture of both some amount of happiness and some amount of suffering. That's human life. Otherwise, there are two other options, ishtam and anishtam. So can you guess what are the other two results, above human and below human? Above human or below human? What are the two other results that one may get if one doesn't learn to live one's life by renouncing in mode of goodness? What are the different results that are possible? Demigod or animal life? Very good, thank you. So yes, heavenly happiness or hellish suffering, you know. So one can have heavenly happiness or one can have hellish suffering. So this is what we discussed so far. Summary of the uh, first six chapters of Bhagavad Gita. You see, Lord Krishna very beautifully and concisely summarized the entire set of six chapters, first six chapters, in just first 12 verses of Bhagavad Gita. Karma Yoga is explained here. And what is that summarized knowledge? That you do your duties in the spirit of Nishkam Bhavana, in the spirit of detachment. Don't be attached to the results of your duties, and offer the results to Lord Krishna for his pleasure as a seva. And you just continue to do what you're supposed to do. That will lead to enlightenment or development of knowledge. Arjuna understands that. So Arjuna asks then question at the next level. What is the next level question? His question is how to give up this doership mentality. Like, I have done it, because I have done it, the result is mine. And because the result is mine, I am supposed to enjoy it. You know, I am supposed to uh, claim ownership over it and control it and enjoy it. How to give up? Because until and unless we are able to give up this doership mentality, it's very difficult for us to become detached from the results of our hard work or our efforts, right? So how do we do that? So Lord Krishna explains that there are two kinds of actions. The actions can be right or wrong. Two types of actions are there. And these actions can be performed in three ways. How do you perform them? You can perform them either through your mind, you can perform them either through your body or through your words, through your speech. And behind any action you do, there are different factors responsible for that action to happen. We already have covered this topic a bit before, that there are three doers, right? Anyone remembers? We discussed about three doers. What were those three doers? There was Paramatma, the super soul. There was material nature, Prakriti, and there was Jiva, the living entity. So these were the three doers that we discussed. Same three concepts are now elaborated and explained as five. Okay. So what are those five? Super soul is there. Place of action is the next one. Doer of action is the third one. Instrument of action is the fourth one. And effort is the fifth one. Now, if I ask you a very simple question here, out of these five, which are the factors associated with Prakriti or material nature? I hope you got my question clear. Like super soul is one factor, Jiva is the other factor, and Prakriti is the third factor. So if out of these five I ask you to put whichever is correct in the basket of Prakriti or that category, which one will you put out of these five? If you understand that, then I can understand that you have so far understood Gita quite well, the concepts, material, spiritual difference, and all that stuff. Place, instrument, and effort. Very good, thank you. So yes, those three are Prakriti. Like, to give you a very simple example, we will explain it that if I have to cook a meal, make some preparation, then I need a place to do that. That's called kitchen. Then I need some instruments to do cooking. I need gas, stuff, I need utensils, I need the ingredients. If there is kitchen, if there are ingredients and utensils, still I have to put efforts to cook. I can't just stand there and expect all the preparations to be prepared by themselves. Even if everything is there, there is me also who is there, who is required. If there is no me, nothing will happen. So that's doer of action. And finally, if the super soul does not sanction or permit or does not support, then the action won't happen. It won't be possible, right? So these five are there which make anything possible. And of all these five, the super soul is the most important because he is like the final controller or authority giver. Then Lord continues to explain Jnanam, Geyam, Parikyata, Trividha. He says there are two parts of any action, motivator and constituent. Little technical information, please don't mind. We have to understand it to understand what Lord Krishna is trying to explain. So he says that for any action you perform, you have motivators and constituents. Motivators means those things that motivate you to do that activity, and constituents means those things which are a part of that activity. So what are the motivators? Like here you can see, we are taking an example of preparing gulab jamuns. Now, in order to prepare gulab jamuns, first thing is you should know what a gulab jamun is. And you should also know how to prepare gulab jamun. Correct? Second thing, you should also have experience of tasting gulab jamun, eating it and knowing that it's sweet and it's succulent, it's full of juice, syrup, sugar syrup, and all that. So you need to know the process and you need to know the end product gulab jamun in order to be able to make it. If you know neither of this, what is gulab jamun and how to make it, you won't be inspired to make gulab jamuns, right? Very simple. And then there are instruments and work. Now, in order to make gulab jamun, you need some things, ingredients, utensils, extra things to help you. And then you need to put efforts. That the whole process is called work. Now, if I ask you out of these 4 points mentioned here, which are the motivators behind the action of preparing gulab jamun? and which are the constituents, in that activity of preparing gulab jamun? It's a little technical question, I agree, but then yes, the answer is possible. I hope you understand. Motivator means something that inspires you to do that activity. Constituents means it's a part of the whole activity. So out of these four, which are the motivators and which are the constituents? Knowledge is motivator, correct. Very true. Even the object is motivator. Okay, so knowledge and objects, that is motivator, and instrument and work, that is constituent. So Arjuna says, oh, then all these must also be controlled by three modes. Yes or no? Whatever points here were mentioned, uh, the knowledge, the work, object, all these are also controlled by three modes. Yes or no? Yes, correct. Everything is controlled by three modes. So these are also controlled by three modes. And not just three, these three, many other things, like knowledge is controlled by three modes, the work we do is controlled by three modes, we ourselves are controlled by three modes, the intelligence that we have, that is also controlled by three modes, and the determination that we have, that is also controlled by the three modes. Because of shortage of time, we are not getting into details of every single topic of this table. We'll just look at intelligence. So intelligence in three modes: sattvic intelligence, rajasic, and tamasic. uh, if the intelligence is of sattvic type, then one has very good understanding of what is right, what is wrong, dharma and adharma, and there is clarity. Every time you are at the crossroads in your life, you need to decide, make decisions. You can do that very nicely, clearly, aptly when you are in situated in mode of goodness. But if someone is situated in mode of passion, then one is always confused about what is right, what is wrong. Very, very confused. Knows both the options, but still is not able to decide. And when one's intelligence is controlled by a mode of ignorance, then one does foolishness. What is that foolishness? One begins to accept the right as the wrong and the wrong as the right. Just like, you might have met people say or express that Lord Ramchandra was not such a great hero, Ravana was a bigger hero. So they worship Ravana. They say Ravana is the unsung hero. And Lord Ramachandra, come on, not so great. So their intelligence makes them think like this. The right appears to be wrong, wrong appears to be right. And then finally, Lord talks about happiness, because Arjuna says, what do these people do in this world? Whatever they do they become happy? And they do it to become happy, that's true. But is that happiness also not controlled by three modes? And certainly yes, happiness is also controlled by the three modes. So how many types of happiness can be, based on what we understand from now? How many types of happiness can be, based on what is explained here? How many types of happiness can be? Three? Yes, three. Three types of happiness. Right? So, what is happiness in goodness then? So, happiness in goodness is explained in this way. The experience of that kind of happiness is, it is poison in the beginning. you don't like it at all, because it's difficult. It's difficult for your body and mind. It's good for you, but it's difficult and it's a little painful. So it's poisonous. I mean, it looks like poison, bitter experience. But as you start doing it, when you start getting the result, then you understand, oh wow, it was so nice, it was so wonderful. Just like getting up early in the morning, for someone who does not have that habit, it's very painful in the starting days. But once gets habit of it, then one begins to enjoy it so much that yes, I can get up early in the morning, I'm so fresh throughout the day, I'm so happy. So that's how the happiness in mode of goodness is. What causes this happiness? Dutifulness. Because you're dutiful, you are happy. You do things as a matter of duty, you don't do things for results. And because you do with that attitude, your happiness comes from just doing things, not what you are going to get from those activities. And because this happiness leads to mental stability, equilibrium, this happiness is the cause of self realization. And a person who is enjoying life in mode of goodness will always be keen or interested in self realization. But then when there is happiness in Rajaguna or Rajasic happiness, mode of passion, it looks like sweet, tastes sweet, looks very nice in the beginning, nectar in the beginning. But soon it is poisonous or bitter at the end, that happiness. It's troublesome. It looks like, oh, I'm going to be so happy, I'll enjoy so much, so much, so much. But when you reach the end, then you feel completely miserable. Sense gratification, any kind of sense gratification is of that nature. And finally, tamas, happiness in mode of ignorance, is bitter in the beginning, bitter in the end. It's troublesome in the beginning, troublesome in the end. It's only an illusion that this can give happiness, but there's no happiness in it. It comes due to sleep, laziness. When you say sleep, means oversleeping, laziness, illusion. And one is not at all interested in spiritual life. For those people for whom happiness is in mode of ignorance, they have zero interest in real spiritual life. So here we give you some examples and ask you, which happiness is this, or what kind of happiness is this? A girl eats a lot of chocolate cake, she enjoys thoroughly, but then she spoils her stomach, and now she has to every 5-10 minutes go to the washroom. What kind of happiness was that? Goodness, passion, or ignorance? Initially very nice, oh wow, such a nice tasty chocolate cake. But then later on, you can imagine. So that is passion. Yeah, very good, thank you. Next, this person smokes cigarette, and while smoking is coughing, and after a few years will have problems in the lungs. So what is this kind of happiness? Smoking, you'll have to say the word or the type, and then passion, ignorance, goodness, because otherwise it's very difficult to understand that you're giving answer for the first one or the second one or the third one. So this is the second one in the list. So this is tamas, ignorance. A boy studying very hard, skipping parties, cinemas, all that stuff, just to get good score and get a good job later. So what is this kind of happiness? Giving up temptations in life. So that's goodness, right? So here we have a very important lesson to learn. So important. Don't just think if you're happy. Ask yourself, what is the level of my happiness? Is the happiness that I'm experiencing all in all, or is there a better and higher level of happiness? Don't just think that if you are happy or not. You ask, what is the level of my happiness? What is the level of my happiness? And is the happiness that I'm experiencing all in all? People are always concerned whether I'm happy or not. People in this world, everyone is happy to some extent. But then the next question should be, what is the quality of that happiness? What kind of happiness we are talking about? A person might be very badly, drunk and lying on the street, and that person may consider that as happiness. But for the other person, that might be a very, very miserable situation, not really happiness. Correct? So here we understand this, that happiness is of different types and we should aim for a higher level of happiness. Arjuna, anyone who is free from the three modes, Krishna says, in this world there is no one. Even amongst the demigods, no one. Arjuna says, any way to get free? And Lord Krishna says, yes. If you begin to worship the Supreme Lord by the prescribed duties that you have as per your nature, you can become free from the three modes. Arjuna, I don't have to give up my nature then as a fighter, Lord Krishna. That's what I have been telling you from the very beginning, Arjuna. You don't have to stop being a Kshatriya. You have to fight. That's your nature. Just continue to do that. And then Lord Krishna begins to explain different kinds of people with different kinds of nature. So this was the summary of what? In which chapters did we discuss Jnana Yoga? In Bhagavad Gita, like the first 6 chapters is Karma Yoga. So which chapters discuss about Jnana Yoga? No one remembers? 13 to 18, very good. But so far we just completed 13 to 17. So Lord Krishna summarizes all of that, 13 to 17, in the verses 13 to 40 of this chapter number 18. Right? So this is how he summarizes. And then he goes to explain how different kinds of people exist. And based on that, based on the three modes, and then they have different natures. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Visham, Shudranam cha parantapa, Karmani pravibhaktani, Svabhava prabhaver gunehi. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures, in accordance with the material modes, or chastiser of the enemy. So, Lord Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you're born with a nature, and different people are born with different natures. So then they should know what their nature is and act accordingly. This is based on not birth. This is based on guna and karma. So if one is prominently in mode of goodness, then that person has a nature of a brahmana. If one is prominently in mode of passion, supported by mode of goodness as secondary or and the background, then that person is of the nature of a kshatriya. If the primary mode is passion and the secondary mode is ignorance, then that person is a vaishya. And if the primary is ignorance and the secondary is passion, then that person is like a shudra. This is a very, very important concept, very practically helpful in anyone's life, uh, that these natures are there. And these natures are there, why? Because of your own past karma. Like you acted in a certain way in the past, that past has created the present. So it's carry forward, and what the way you're living your life in the present will become the cause of the next. So this is how the natures are working on us. So people, because they don't know what their nature is at present times, they're so confused about what they should be doing in life. They don't have a goal, they don't have a purpose. What they do, they don't enjoy. They are so miserable, no job satisfaction. They keep on jumping from one job to another because they don't know what exactly makes them happy. And there's so much of confusion, there's so much of frustration, there's so much of improper service being rendered, because if you don't do things as per your nature, you are not going to do it nicely. You can't give the required result, you won't be efficient at it. So people think it's a very, very old and orthodox concept, but actually it's true that at present also the whole society is divided into these 4 classes. People are there who are working as brahmanas, people are there who are working as kshatriyas, people are there who are working as Vaishyas, and people are there who are working as Shudras. Hmm? So there's a one website. Of course, I don't say that this website gives you complete information and fully accurate information, but you can get some idea about what your nature is by birth. That nature might have changed, that nature might not have been explored or developed, but it gives you, when you're born with what tendencies. So it's called Varna the Vedic Way.org. So here, if you feed in your date of birth, time of birth, and location of birth, then it tells you about your Varna by birth. Of course, things might have changed, or you might have never acted in that manner, but it helps. Swe swe karmani abhiratah. So then Lord Krishna says, by following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. We don't have to change from one thing to another. We don't have to become a Brahmana if you're not a Brahmana, or become a Kshatriya if you're not a Kshatriya. We just have to be where we are and continue to do activities as per our nature, but with the understanding we are doing it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So Arjuna says, how? And Krishna says, God is the source of all. So all the activities are coming from him. So worship him through your work and results. Arjuna then says, since Brahmanas are in goodness, is it not good to become like them? And Lord Krishna says, it's better to engage in your own work, even though you may not do it properly, than to do someone else's work and do it properly. Because you are paid for or rewarded for what you are supposed to do or what is expected from you. If you do it, you have done your job. But if you do someone else's job, that's not expected from you. So Arjuna says, I did not understand. And Krishna says that, Arjuna, in this world, there is no activity which is perfect. Every activity is covered by some kind of fault. To do any kind of activity, there is some fault involved in it. There's no perfect activity. So do you think Brahmanas are completely perfect? There's nothing, no mistake they do? No. In their actions also there is some kind of fault, so in all actions there are faults. So therefore you just do what you are supposed to do, and if you do it in this way as explained, then the fault will go away. And this is such an important concept. Please, please, please pay attention. Karma, the work we do, has two parts: good part and the fault part. Fine. Like giving an example, Arjuna is a Kshatriya, is a fighter. So he has to fight. He has to kill people, kill his enemies. Killing enemies is the good part. But fault is what? He'll be doing violence. So being violent is wrong. That's the fault. Now, when he offers this work to Lord Krishna, when he offers this karma of fighting to Lord Krishna, what happens to the defect or fault? Sorry, press the wrong thing. What happens to the defect or fault if Arjuna offers this karma of fighting, act of fighting to Lord Krishna, even the results of fighting to Lord Krishna? Then what happens to the fault aspect, the fault part? Neutralized. Okay. Neutral, nullified. All right, thank you. So what happens is Krishna destroys it. When you offer the work to Lord Krishna and the results to Lord Krishna has a delete button and he presses on that delete button and the fault is gone. And what he does, he accepts the good part. And because he accepts the good part, in return, the performer of work and the giver of results, like Arjuna here, gets spiritual knowledge or develops spiritual knowledge. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, you follow this process, just follow this process and you'll be benefited. So a very quick lesson here: be yourself. For that, know yourself. Let us not try to be someone else. Every person has been made unique by Krishna. Let us appreciate and embrace that uniqueness. Asakta buddhi sarvatra jitatma. Now Lord Krishna then begins to gear up, and take Arjuna from this level to the next level. That from Jnana Yoga, how one can slowly come to Bhakti Yoga. So he says, if you engage in Nishkam Karma Yoga, it will lead you to liberation. You'll become situated in Brahman. In the state of Brahman, then you can engage in devotional service to Lord Krishna, or pure devotional service to Lord Krishna. And then that pure devotional service has to be offered to Krishna, bhakti to Krishna. Then you get Krishna from that pure devotional service. So by bhakti, Krishna is obtained, or God is obtained. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschashmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. By that devotion, one can know Krishna. So Arjuna then says, okay, now quickly, can you please summarize bhakti also, just like you did for karma and jnana? Please explain devotional work again. So Lord Krishna then summarizes bhakti. He says how to do bhakti in 56, 57. Then benefits of following Lord Krishna, his instruction guidance, and not following, the dangers of that. And then the guidance given by the super soul. And after explaining all of this, then Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, Arjuna, I have told you everything so far. And it's quite much of time also. We have to start the battle. So now you deliberate on all this, what I said to you, and then you decide what you want to do. Whatever you wish to do, you do. I'll not tell you what to do. I have already explained to you different things. Now you decide what you want to do, what you wish to do. So Arjuna here, he kinds of enters into deep thinking, because Bhagavad Gita concepts are so deep, so meaningful, complicated, interconnected. And Arjuna went through all of that almost at a lightning speed, few minutes, or it was around 40 minutes, and he heard the entire Gita. And now Krishna is asking him to summarize everything and come to a conclusion and decide for himself what he should be doing. So he's kind of scratching his head. What should I do now? What is the conclusion of whatever been told to me? So when Lord Krishna saw that confusion on the face of Arjuna, he thought, well, let me decide for Arjuna. Let me help him. Let me summarize Bhagavad Gita and Bhakti for him, and then he can decide what to do. Sarva Guhyatam Bhuya Shrinu. He says, so because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you this most supreme instruction of mine. Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. So this verse comes 2 times in Bhagavad Gita. He repeats that here again, 18.65. And he says 4 things. Manmana, always think of me. Mad Bhakta, become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam Namaskuru, offer your obeisances to me. So give up all kinds of dharma and surrender unto me. I'll free you from all kinds of sins. Do not fear. Now, these are very famous verses of Gita. You know this. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tam sarva papebhyo moksheshyami ma suchaha. Right? So, Lord Krishna is telling here that you do these 4 things, and then you surrender to me. You do as I say you to do. Sin will not touch you also, Arjuna. I promise that. Though you'll be killing millions of people here on the battlefield, sin will not touch you. You'll remain a lotus in the mud, as he had promised in chapter 5, or explained in chapter 5. You'll become a lotus in the mud. So just do that. So here Lord Krishna has left it on now Arjuna to decide what he should do, or what he wants to do. So what will Arjuna do? What do you think Arjuna will do at this stage, when Lord Krishna is telling him that you decide and you do? Arjuna will fight. Or in other words, Arjuna will do whatever Lord Krishna is asking him to do. Whatever Krishna says, Arjuna will do. Isn't it? So that's where Bhagavad Gita is kind of ending. Krishna is now just summarizing the last part. He is telling to Arjuna benefits of studying and teaching Bhagavad Gita. So if someone teaches Bhagavad Gita or shares the message of Bhagavad Gita, the benefit he or she gets is the benefit of pure devotional service, pure bhakti. And one also enters into the abode of Lord Krishna after death. And finally, one becomes very, very dear to Lord Krishna. Most dear, Lord Krishna says, you become most dear to me if you spread this message of Bhagavad Gita or you give it to others. Now, if we study Bhagavad Gita, then we worship Lord Krishna by our intelligence. By intelligence. It's called Jnana Yajna. And if we hear Bhagavad Gita, we become free from all our sins, and we also, after death, we get promoted to auspicious planets, higher planets like Dhruva Loka and others. So, if I ask you now, what all benefits did you, as the attendee of Gita Diploma course, get at the completion of this course, or because of going through this study of Bhagavad Gita with us? What benefits you got? If you look at this table, what benefits have you obtained? The benefits of hearing, that's all. Only the benefits of hearing. Benefits of hearing and benefits of studying, right? You also have studied, so hearing and studying, isn't it? So after this, we finally come to Lord Krishna's two more questions to Arjuna. Have you heard this, Arjuna, with an attentive mind? Second, and if you did so, is your ignorance and illusion gone? Arjuna says in response, yes, my illusion is now gone, and I have regained my memory. I am firm now and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Karishye vachanam tava. I'll do whatever you say, or I'll do as you say. I surrender to you. That's what Arjuna declares to Lord Krishna. And the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna stops here. Krishna Arjuna Samvad is over. We go back to the original scene. Dhritarashtra and Sanjay talking to each other. Sanjay is sitting along with Dhritarashtra and narrating the Bhagavad Gita. So Sanjay ends up Bhagavad Gita in last 5 verses, 74, 5, 6, 7, 8. And he expresses his feedback or his appreciation and gratitude to what he has received during this, discussion of Krishna and Arjuna. So, Sanjaya, before we listen to what Sanjaya has expressed in these verses, let me ask you this simple question, perhaps the second last question here. Yes, it's the second last question. Who was Sanjaya's guru? Who was Sanjaya's guru? Vedavyas. Very good. Vyasadev or Vedavyas. And at this stage, he is remembering his guru. So he says, Adbhutam Roma Harsham, Harshanam. So he says, this knowledge of Gita which Lord Krishna has shared with Arjuna, the points he has expressed or declared, this has made my hair stand erect. I am so happy, I am so joyful. You know, it's giving me ecstasy. I'm wonderstruck. And then he says, Vyasa Prasadat. So Sanjay is remembering his spiritual master, his guru. That by the mercy of my guru or my spiritual master, I've been able to get this knowledge. Otherwise, how would I get this knowledge? And this knowledge is incredible. It is wonderful. It's amazing. It's blissful. So he is appreciating the gift, and he's being also grateful to the person who has made it possible. So he says, Vyasa Prasadat, by the mercy of my Guru, expressing his gratitude. He says, I got to hear this beautiful conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, and I am not just hearing it, I'm remembering it again and again. Sangsmritya, 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 sangsmritya means I'm remembering it again and again. The same conversation, the same shlokas, the same answers which Krishna gave to Arjuna. And while I remember it again and again, Hirshayami, I'm becoming happier again and again. More and more I get happy when I think about that message which Krishna gave to Arjuna. And I think about Krishna being the chariot driver of Arjuna, and think about Krishna having so much affection for Arjuna. And I also seeing that beautiful form of Krishna, Rupam Ati Adbhutam Hare. I got to see the four-handed form, I got to see the universal form, I also got to see the two-handed form. So at the end he says, Vismaya Punaha Puna. I remember it again and again, I get amazed again and again, and I am completely happy because of it. So finally he then declares the conclusion to Dhritarashtra. His question was, Dharma Chetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandava Shaiva Kima Kurvata Sanjaya. That what happened in Dharma Kshetra or Kurukshetra? What happened? So Sanjay is now giving the final answer. He says, my dear king, you are expecting or hoping that your sons will win. Let me tell you. Yatra Yogeshwaraha Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shir Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruvanitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, what is there? You have four things there: Shrir, Vijayah, Bhutir, Duva, Nitir. It's four things. Certainly, victory is there, opulence is there, extraordinary power is there, and morality is there. So he's telling, my dear king, Pandavas will win because Krishna is with them. They themselves are pure devotees. So why will they not win? They will win. And they will win with all these four qualities. They'll be very opulent, they'll be very moral, they will be extraordinarily powerful, and therefore victory will be with them. So this is how chapter ends. Thank you very much. Now you can start sending your questions for this chapter or whatever we discussed before. We don't have much time, 20 minutes more to go. So please ask very, very relevant questions which are not just beneficial for you, but for everyone who is watching this show and will be watching the recordings later. So this chapter is called Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, the yoga of renunciation, surrender. 5 quick lessons to take home with us. Know the purpose well. Very important. Anything you do in life, material, spiritual, this, that, know why you are doing it. Arjuna wanted to take sannyas, give up everything, not fight. But did he ever ask genuinely, deeply, why? If yes, he would have gotten lots of many other answers. So know whatever you might be doing externally, it may appear to be the best thing, the most virtuous thing, but you should always ask why. Know the purpose behind it. Is it really spiritual? Is it really in mode of goodness or no? Next question. Know yourself. Know yourself means know your nature. Identify that and then work as per that. You'll be happy. People around you will be happy, and you'll be able to contribute a lot more to the society. And it will also lead to purification of your heart if you give the results of your prescribed work to Lord Krishna. God doesn't God doesn't force us. People sometimes ask this question, if God loves us, why does he allow us to do this, do that, stuff like that? But how can love have force in it? It's not possible. Will you force your children always to do things? uh, no, you will give them some freedom. That you'll explain to them, this is wrong for you, you should not be doing it, but at the same time you are going to give them some freedom. Similarly, Krishna has given us freedom, and he will not force us. He's not forcing Arjuna. Because I spent 40 minutes telling you Bhagavad Gita, now you must listen to me. You must do what I'm asking you to do. He said, I have told you everything. Now you decide what you want to do. You decide. It's for you to decide. Fourth, share to learn. And this is very important. I have personal request to all of you. You see, Bhagavad Gita is best learned by studying it, but also by sharing it. So whatever we learn in Gita Diploma course, I want a humble, uh, gift from you, a return gift. What is that? Share that with people around you. Find 5, 10, 20, 50 people and give them out this message. If you can't, just share the recordings of these videos with them. If you want in Hindi, then we also did it on Hindi 1 year ago on the same channel, and on my channel, personal channel, also you'll get these videos both in English and Hindi, and many other Gita videos. So please do share all that with other people and let them be benefited by this knowledge. If you do that, you become very dear to Lord Krishna, just like we discussed. And gratitude to happiness. Arjuna is happy. Sanjay is so much more happy, though he did not hear Gita directly from Krishna. Why? Because he was grateful. At least I got to hear Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, we should be also very, very grateful that we are getting a chance to do this course, getting a chance to learn so much. And this gratitude is the key to happiness in life, right? So here Arjuna asks, what should be done? What is tyag? What is sannyas? And I'm sorry, it's typed in Hindi here. That's a little mistake. So then Lord Krishna explained renunciation in 3 boats, 5 factors of action, right? 3 modes again explain: work as per your nature, Nishkam Karma Yoga to pure bhakti, and finally the glory of Bhagavad Gita. All this were explained by Lord very beautifully. So we stop here. We'll start taking your questions again. And a last quick information before we end this last session, that we tried our best to serve this course to you, but regardless of our best efforts, there might have been some mistakes, technical mistakes, personal limitations. We could not always take all the questions asked by you, right? And so for all of that, we seek forgiveness. Kindly overlook the mistakes that we have done and take whatever good we have tried to present to you. This course has been designed after a lot of hard work, presented in this particular fashion so that it's easy to understand, it's engaging, it's fun, and it makes you go deeper into the message of Bhagavad Gita. So I hope you did enjoy the journey, and you'll continue to watch these sessions more and more to refresh your understanding of Bhagavad Gita. And if you want to stay connected with us, then you can definitely also go to my personal website, www.simplevedas.com. Register there, lots of free courses there. Enroll in them and start learning more. And there's also my YouTube channel with my name, Madhusudan Vishnu Das. You can subscribe that, and there also you have around 700 videos, lots of content for you to learn the Vedic scriptures. So now let's take your questions. What is pure bhakti, Indiraji? Very nice question. Thank you. So pure bhakti means bhakti which is done for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, not my pleasure. In this world, anything we do, we may say, I'm doing it for you, but we have our own sometimes hidden desires or agendas, some selfishness. So pure bhakti means you do something fully for Lord's pleasure without you wanting anything in return. Anything. So that's called pure bhakti. That's the simplest definition I can offer you today. The subject is quite deep. We can have lots of seminars just to explain that from different scriptures. But for you, and in short, this is the answer. What is sacrifice in today's world, Ankita ji? Very nice question. So the sacrifice in today's world is the sacrifice means yajna. So the best yajna prescribed for this age is Sankirtan yajna. You chant the names of God, holy names of God. That is also sacrifice. So every day, every human being on the planet at present should engage in this yajna, chanting the names of God. There are different names of God. All the bona fide names are powerful. We should just begin to chant. So you can start chanting. If you're not chanting anything, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Next question. What sacrifice, charity, and austerity we have to do now? I explained already about sacrifice. Now, if you want to know more about charity and austerity, I recommend every one of you who want to study Gita at greater depth, go online, purchase a book called Bhagavad Gita as it is. Either you open it, in soft copy, or you buy a hard copy, and then you go through these chapters and read the purports or the explanations, where very much detailed manner these points are explained. So you'll get to know what kind of charity we should be doing, what kind of austerity we should be doing, right? So please, please go through that. Thank you. Next question. This is out of syllabus, Vinayakji. Why Lord Shri Ram doubted on Mata Sita after war victory when they came to? Very good question, but this whole question has an answer of 60 minutes actually. So we'll not take that question now. But if you go to my channel, I do have an episode on this topic, both in Hindi and English. So you can watch it out there. In how many days of bhakti will Krishna take us back? Krishna never told anything like that anywhere, that you have to do these many hours, these many minutes, this many seconds of bhakti to go back. It's a process. You may take many lives, you may take just one life, you may take just one day. It all depends on where did you start, how much efforts you put, how nicely you did it, and when the mercy of Lord Krishna came. Next question. The devotees of Lord Krishna goes to Golok Dham, but Arjuna went to Swargaloka. No, Arjuna did not go to Swargaloka. We have to understand the destination of Arjuna from Srimad Bhagavatam, not from Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a scripture written for a different audience, for a different purpose. So in Mahabharata, sometimes the facts which are given are different from that is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. How can Arjuna go to Swargaloka? Arjuna is a pure devotee of Krishna. Krishna is saying, someone who is a pure devotee comes back to me. So it is this is the thing which we have to understand. Amrita Kumbharji, among the 5 things required for anything to happen, you said effort is a factor of Prakriti, but effort is put by Jiva. How is it a factor of Prakriti? Very good technical question, thank you. So effort is put by Jiva through what? Through what? Through the body. Like if I am pushing something, what is pushing? The hands are pushing, the body is pushing. So the jiva is only desiring. That push which is happening is again facilitated by the 3 modes of material nature, because the body is made up of 3 modes of material nature. So even the efforts are by the Prakriti. All right, next question. Which shloka should be memorized? All the shlokas of Gita are very important, very nice. You find out which one you would like to memorize. For me, all are important and all are helpful in life. Why Lord sanctions the criminal acts? So when you say something is a criminal act, you also have to know that the person who is a victim of that criminal act also has a past karma to be a victim in that situation. So why does Lord Krishna sanction something like that? It's not that Lord Krishna is inspiring people to act in criminal acts or engage in criminal acts. It's not Lord Krishna wanting them to do it. But when they want to do it, then there is also a message from inside, don't do it. But still they want to do it, then it is checked whether the other person deserves that kind of suffering at the hand of this particular person. If yes, then you get it. Simple. Like for example, soul A in a particular kind of body has committed some violence to soul B. Now, in some time in future, that soul B will also try to take revenge and commit a violence towards soul A. If you look at it from the law of karma perspective, it's balanced, right? So now, if you say why Lord sanctions it, but then this person should get his karmic reaction, no? So there are no accidents in life. Everything is related to what we have done in the past. Next, Akshay Sahu. If Sanjay understood Krishna, then why didn't Dhritarashtra understand the same? Because of Dhritarashtra's wrong attitude. It's not that when knowledge is given to you, you will understand it exactly the way someone else will understand. Because the knowledge is correct, the giver is correct, but you also are there, who is also an important factor. So Dhritarashtra has a particular mindset, approach, attitude, desire. Sanjay is a different person. 2 different beings getting the same knowledge doesn't necessarily mean they will understand it in the same manner. So we have to become like Sanjay if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita. If we remain like Dhritarashtra, we will also not understand Bhagavad Gita. Why his mind did not change? Because he did not want to change. Lata Putranji. All things are done by three modes of nature. If we think we are the doer, we are having ego. Then how come we are the doer? Because you think yourself to be the doer, then you become the doer. If you don't think yourself to be the doer, you become free from doership mentality. That's the niche. If you think you are the doer, you become the doer. Means you become entrapped. But if you're free from that doership mentality, then you are not the doer. Then you don't become entrapped. If we think something wrong about someone, but not at all intentionally, it's like the thought is coming uncontrollably. It can't be controlled. So does the vibration reach to that person? Yes, it does. Whatever you convey verbally, mentally, it reaches the other person. So you have to be careful. Guruji, tolerance has a limit. Should have, because different people have different levels of tolerance. So your tolerance level must be having a limit, mine must be having a limit, someone else must be having a limit, and we have to always increase that limit of tolerance. Prabhuji, are you giving bhakti course also? Bhakta course? um, there's no such course, I mean, by that name which I conduct. Arjuna was reborn as Kanappa and he was a Shiv Bhakt. Then which lok he went to? See, we have to get information from bona fide scriptures. And different personalities taking birth at different times. We should know, actually, this is a very complicated concept, because Arjuna, when we talk about Arjuna, he's a multi-dimensional personality and to his existence. So when you talk about Arjuna as a pure devotee of Krishna, he went to Krishna Loka, or he went back to Krishna. Next question. What about karma for killing plants? Yes, if you kill plants, that's also bad karma, or that incurs bad karma. It incurs bad karma. So one should be very careful. We can't just start cutting trees and plants. No, that's bad karma. And therefore, for eating purpose, for our food purpose, even if we cut something, crops and all that, we offer it to Lord Krishna. That's what is prescribed in Bhagavad Gita, that you offer your food to Lord Krishna, then all the sin which was there committed to get that food gets nullified, and it becomes karma-free food. And that makes your body, mind, intelligence, consciousness, everything pure. How to make our mind understand the Nishkam karma? We know, but we forget. What's the easiest way? Easiest way is to keep on refreshing your memory with this knowledge, right? Why do Bhagavad Gita course once in a life? Why not stay in touch with this knowledge on regular basis and keep on refreshing your memory? Then someday that will become a part of your life. That will become your element. When soul takes a different body, who takes birth again? The soul itself. Right? The soul takes birth again in a new body. All right, thank you so much. I'm very happy to have been with you for so many days and doing this course with all of you. My pleasure and my honor. And I hope you learned something. And more than that, you will also apply in your life, will share with others. And because if you don't apply this knowledge, it's only entertainment, what we have been through. So many lessons we have shared. I mean, more than 300 to 400 lessons you might have gotten, practical lessons in this course, and so many concepts. So do revisit them, think about them, apply them in life, and be immensely benefited by them. So thank you so very much. See you again. Maybe in future we'll do some other course for all of you. Till then, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And have a wonderful study of Bhagavad Gita forever.